working from home. So what rights do employees have? Well, Jodie Hill from Thrive Law has been assessing your questions, and we started with this one from Bradford.
Hi, my name's Keisha, I'm 28 and live in Bradford. My question today is, should people in Bradford continue to shield or should we be going to work? If we should be continuing to shield, what employment laws are in place to protect us?
Well, Jodie's with us now. Jodie, you heard what Keisha had to say there. What's the answer to that question?
So in terms of employment laws, obviously things have changed over the past couple of months, but one thing that's clear is those individuals who've been shielding are more likely to have a disability. So whether they're shielding or not, if they're planning on returning to work, they should be looking at speaking to their employers about either working from home or being placed on furlough. Now, if they're going to continue shielding, because that's what the local government have advised, then on that basis, employers should still be supporting them with that. So my advice to people in this situation is to actually reach out to your employer and have a conversation with them and understand, first of all, whether you need to go back to work. And if you do, what things are being put in place. You can only go back to work, whether you've been shielding or not, if it's safe to do so. So you need to have an individual COVID risk assessment, and you also need to understand if you have a disability, are there any adjustments that your employer needs to put in place?
For those people returning to work, Jodie, if they feel their workplaces aren't safe, what can they do?
So if people feel that their workplace is unsafe, the first thing they should do is address the reasons why they think it's unsafe with their employer. Now, every workplace is going to be different, but ultimately there are guidelines in place for each different sector. Employers should be complying with social distancing measures to ensure that it is safe for each individual to return, whether they've been shielding or not. So if you're concerned, first of all, address it with your employer. If they then don't deal with that properly, you can raise an internal grievance. And that might also amount to whistleblowing if you're saying that you actually think it's a breach of health and safety. So you just need to be really clear about why you're saying it's unsafe to return before you take any further action.
Can employees ask to continue to work from home if they feel that's a safer proposition?
Sure, and I think that's a really sensible way forward, actually. There's so many organisations now actually saying for the foreseeable future they'll be asking people to work from home where they don't feel it's safe to come back to work. And I think most employers are engaging on that basis. If employees end up in a situation where employers are reluctant but are able to make home working work for them, they should raise an internal grievance and actually just address why they think it would be more productive and safer for them to be at home.
Is there any legal requirement on the employer to make sure premises are COVID secure?
Yes, there is. So there's a health and safety requirement, but there's also the COVID risk assessments that employers now need to be conducting and ensuring that they're in line with the social distancing measures.
Jodie, we've had a question about public transport and shielding workers returning to work. If public transport's the only option and they feel that's unsafe or they're anxious about that, what should they do?
So in the first instance, they should speak to their employer before they go back to work and see whether or not they can do their job from home as a reasonable adjustment, especially if it links to a disability such as anxiety disorders, because actually that would be a reasonable adjustment for that particular individual. If they're anxious because they've been shielding and because of the health risks, then again, checking with their employer if there's any other way they can do their job or any other route to work, whether they can arrange different mode of transport or do their job from home.
What about people who are returning from holiday? I'm thinking if you're coming back from Spain, for instance, where do you stand on that?
So slightly different coming back from Spain, as there is obviously the quarantine rules in place at the moment. So individuals need to be agreeing with their employer before they go away what they're going to do when they come back. Are they going to take annual leave? Can they do their job from home? Are they going to do a mixture of the two? And actually, ultimately, some people have to come back and take unpaid leave if they haven't got those options already agreed. So my advice to anyone going away is please speak to your employer before you go and make sure you have an agreement in place.
Okay, Jodie, many thanks for your advice today. Good to see you and thanks for coming on. Okay, let's take a quick look at